Hey guys, what's going on? My name's STO Youngblood, and this is my first episode of a new series called Captain's Log. Yes, I realize it's a suggestive title. The question now is, did I do that on purpose or just happy coincidence? Anyways, the series is going to be designed about tips and tricks and advice, all focused around flying. We're going to be breaking down maneuvers. We're going to be talking about the different ships. We're going to be talking about weaponry and all the certs. So those are things that you'll be seeing coming in later episodes. Now, before we even get started on any of this, I wanted to let you guys know that I'm no means a expert on this information yet, although I plan to be. For some reason, I'm very committed to being a good pilot in this game, even though I haven't really been flying in any other previous game. Probably the last game where I spent a lot of time in an aircraft was X-Wing or TIE Fighter or one of those old Star Wars games, but I'm going to be spending a lot of time in here, so some of the information I'm going to be giving you is really going to be coming from, a learner's perspective. You can learn from my mistakes, and I'll let you know what works, what doesn't work, and I'm going to be doing a lot of research to make sure I'm giving you the best information that I possibly can. Now, the first piece of advice I really want to give you guys is how not to be stupid, and I don't mean that to be condescending, but this is a great example. At a warp gate, you've got a shield. When it's your warp gate, you have the ability to pass through it unharmed. When it's not your warp gate, that shield's going to do you a lot of damage. Here's a good example of that. Yep. Seems pretty straightforward, but it's something to keep in mind because it will get you killed, and you're going to look like a fool, like this guy just did, in front of everybody else. The second piece of advice I want to give you is a more important one, and it's knowing your surroundings. Here's a scythe, and he didn't know his surroundings. But he decided to land anyways. I was in a tank, and even though I'm mostly going to be flying, sometimes there's going to be a tank there waiting for you. Take a moment, press T, back out, look in third person, and see what's around you. It's going to be important, and it'll keep you alive longer. Now, one of the things we're going to go into in more detail in later videos is all the different upgrades that you can put onto your ship. Now, I want to really start off with what you can expect to see when you're going in here, and it's overwhelming at first. You've got weapons, and then you've got utility, defense, performance, and what does all that really mean? Passive systems is really going to give you the option to lower your acquisition timer, meaning that you can get another vehicle a little bit quicker. Utility slot has a bunch of different things, from being able to pick up enemies on radar, flares, fire suppression system, and being able to get out of your vehicle safely. Defense slots, different things that are going to keep you alive longer. Performance slot are the different airframes, which we'll talk about in more detail, but all have different benefits. Basically, it's about vehicle handling. And then you get down into the different weapons, primaries and secondaries. Now, primaries, this is going to be your starting one right here. It's your Mustang. You can upgrade all sorts of different things, from magazine size, optics, capacity. And then you've got the two different options that you can pick after that. The Vortec Rotary, which is your primary AA weapon, and your M30 Mustang, which I kind of equate to a air shotgun. And then the secondary is probably where the most, debate really comes in with these vehicles. You've got your breaker rockets, which are like a rocket pods like you would expect to see on an Apache. And then finally, you've got your secondary, which is going to be your air-to-air missiles, like lock-on Stinger-type missiles. So those are all the different options, but what should you really pick to get started? For me, like I said earlier, I haven't really spent a lot of time flying in any game. So I'm learning, I'm getting better, but I'm not perfect. And that's why I needed a little bit of help when I first got started here. The first two things that I think that you should really invest in, outside of lowering your passive systems, lowering your acquisition timer so you can keep practicing, is going to be the flares. Air-to-air missiles are very, very common, the lock-on missiles. Now, it's not only coming from enemy fighters, it's also coming from heavy assaults on the ground. Pretty much, if you fly into a really populated area, these things are going to be popping up on your screen nonstop. Beep, 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 lock, lock, lock. It's a lot of fun. So having a flare, at least one, is give you a chance to break that lock and get out of there. The other thing that I would really suggest that you pick up is going to be the air-to-air missiles, the Tomcat. Now, come on. The reason that I suggest this is if you're still learning how to fly or you're not a pro, keeping your machine gun on target is tough. Having this is going to give you the ability to lock onto a target and get that easy kill. Now, it's not necessarily easy because they might have a flare or they might drive past a like a rock or a cliff or an overhang. But the important thing is that it's a little bit easier. You fire, you can switch back to your primary, try and get a few hits in before you switch back and launch off another missile. Really, it's a great beginner's weapon while you're learning everything else. So, as I start to wrap up this first episode, I wanted to let you guys know, as you can see, I'm playing as New Conglomerate. So, a lot of the information, especially weapons, is going to be specific to the Reaver. That being said, there should be things that are going to be equivalent for each of the different factions. So, regardless if you're flying a Scythe as a Vanu or in a Mazi as a Terran Republic, there should be things that you can take away and apply to your skill set. Some of the topics we're going to talk about in the next episode are going to be things like spotting from the air, the different roles that you can play as one of these fighters, and some other various quick tips that I've got planned. I'm going to try and do one of these videos about every week, but it's going to be dependent upon how often I actually get to play. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can come back and maybe learn some new things, or if nothing else, you can watch a noob learn how to fly and maybe get a giggle out of it. So that's pretty much going to wrap up our first episode of Captain's Log. I appreciate you guys taking the time to take a look, and hopefully there was something you could take away. If not, I know it was basic information, so there should definitely be better information that'll apply to you in the next videos. Until next time, thanks again for watching. Take care. Good hunting.